You're listening to episode 298 of the Major Issues podcast, and in this one, we review the latest iteration of the Man of Steel in animation, My Adventures with Superman. The Major Issues podcast starts right now! Hello everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don, and if you're listening to this, you can only be here for one reason. That's a brand new episode of the Major Issues podcast, brought to you each and every week by ComicBookClique.com. And as always, I am never alone. Sir, if you could please introduce yourself.
I'm your alternate universe Kryptonian Negro, Gregory Thomas, aka GT Rebirth.
One of those words stood out more than the other. I think it's Kryptonian. But our local Kryptonian, GT Rebirth, is here in studio. And you know, if we're using that K word out here, we're only here to talk about one thing. We're here to talk about Superman, but more specifically, My Adventures with Superman, the animated series that just dropped this year. But before we get all up into spoilery goodness when it comes to that show, I wanted to ask you, GT. There's a lot going on right now with the strikes. Everyone's striking. No one's working for good reason. They're not getting paid the way they're supposed to. It seems like every one of these studios is trying to set up their own OMAC to write and act in the stead of actors and stuff like that. And we had something very special happen not too long ago. We had two prominent DC actors return to the squared circle in John Cena and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. They've returned to wrestling amidst these strikes. Do you call foul play? What do you sit on? Black Adam and Peacemaker coming to collect some checks while everybody else is kind of striking right now?
And Batista has alluded to doing the same.
Crazy, man. So crazy.
It's technically not scabbing.
Yeah, because I guess the writers are not under the guild. The wrestling writers are not under the guild, at least.
No, they aren't. I don't believe they are particularly unionized in any form or fashion. I mean, what do you do with that, right? if you've got a window to, we knew from the start that like pro wrestling was just sort of going to slide right into the void there.
Yeah,
you know, if anybody had decided to really like aggressively put that whole writers like pro wrestling writer thing under the microscope, you'd probably have some issues.
Yeah, I can see that.
You'd probably uncover some issues that would hurt the industry, or at least like, you know, change some things. But nobody's trying to waste time with what the fucking WWE does with their writers.
Yeah. That's a whole nother world. Could you imagine trying to unionize that? Like, I get paid even if Vince rips up the script. Like, I don't care. I deserve payment regardless of how many times the show changes over.
Yeah, and the thing is, they've never been able to like. It's a pendulum when it comes to the classification of what professional wrestling is, because it's a masquerade of a sporting event, but it's not exactly a television show.
Yeah. So
it's like
it's not enough of any one thing to be legal or to have somebody oversee it. Basically.
You can't really push guild enforcement because we're not like a television series in that classical sense.
Right.
But we're also not a sport, so you can't push any of that stuff on us. So it was just this weird sort of like slightly scripted weekly concert.
Right. And I mean, we're nearing a huge payday for WWE in general. They're doing one of their Saudi pay-per-views coming soon. I'm very curious to see if yeah, there's the next one that Roman's doing is he's fighting AJ at some Saudi event. Which makes me wonder if those two, you know, I had joked Rock and Cena against Grayson Waller and Austin Theory for a quick $1 billion each payday, you know, overseas.
Because I thought that wasn't happening when I saw that they like did
The Superstar Spectacle.
Yeah, and then it was like off camera.
Yes, I remember like waiting for people to start talking about it, and then it just like left.
Yeah, and
And I
then
was like,
like
what?
everyone's sort of talking about like, yeah, Ria's over there in India, but we're over here, and it's like, oh,
They have a
okay.
Crown Jewel November 5th.
So the usual,
Yeah, yeah.
sure,
I can totally see
yay.
them coming in and trying to collect that payday. And I don't blame them because DC in general has been kind of they've been suffering a lot because of these strikes. Blue Beetle, while it made its money back, it definitely didn't make as much money as they thought that it would. And we have the
Did
next
they think it
installment.
would though?
It was supposed to be an HBO Max thing, so I'm assuming by making it a movie, they thought they could make some funds off of it. The next installment, Aquaman 2, they're just releasing trailers and stuff to that now. Uh, to test the waters, all pun intended. How are you feeling about Aquaman 2? Is that a first day? Is that a Thursday night watch?
I wish I could say anything was, but I haven't been able to have a Thursday night in a long time. Uh,
Fair.
I go straight to work. Um, I don't know. I'm told a friend of ours wants to watch. A friend of my girlfriend's and thusly mine wants to watch it. So it'll probably be a date where we can all get together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it looks like fun. It it's one of those things where I just say like, oh, this looks like a fun trailer, and they're doing a lot of cool shit. There's
Yeah.
obviously a lot of like, there's a lot of stretching that gets done with the visuals because it's Aquaman,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there's always a lot of work to be done, and it's once again it's super colorful. Jesus Christ,
Very colorful.
almost
Very
hurts the
colorful.
eyes. Um,
Is there
I'm sad
anything
that
in the
Willem
trailer
Dafoe wasn't back.
that kind of sucks? Um, I mean, if you've heard the Blue Beetle episode, you know that I have like my spider senses have been tingling as far as like there's seemingly only so many stories to tell, and I
Yeah.
wonder if this story is going to be some kind of hodgepodge of like the main plot points of Dark World, where the
Okay.
brothers have to sort of team up for a bigger bad, but Orm is ultimately trying to just take the throne at the end of it. I could totally
As you
see that
do.
happening. Yeah, I could totally see that happening. Mira looks like she has been kind of pushed to the side. She has literally one shot in the trailer.
Which
Um,
looks like her trying to break into the movie.
yes, 100%. And you know that she's been getting a lot of blowback. Amber Heard has because of the whole trial with her and Johnny Depp. So they've already said that her role has been significantly reduced.
Diminished
Um, we
even.
we don't even know where this like sits in the grand scheme of things because we don't know where Arthur is because we saw Arthur in the Flash at the end of the Flash, or that was
Yeah.
just an Arthur. So, do you think this movie will play fast and loose with who this is, or is it really just going to be like exist in a void
I
without
think
any
it's
allusions to anything else?
I think they've said as such that it's just like its own movie. And that
Okay.
doesn't allude to any greater DC universe, which is probably for the best.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think it's just like a thing that it's gonna happen. And it's gonna be the end of it. It's gonna be the rare, the somewhat rare, like uh, strictly duology.
Yeah.
Like it seems you either only get one or you get three. You so rarely get just two.
Yeah. That's true.
Um, I don't know. I guess it's a weird question because I don't know what you do with it, but it's
Because
it's
it can't do
just
anything groundbreaking. We already know where the groundbreaking starts. It starts in 2025.
yeah, and it's the last of the Mohicans at this point, isn't it?
Yeah. So I kind of feel like they're just trying to like shuffle it out. Like they're just trying to.
Yeah, you know what it gives me? It gives me New Mutants.
I can see that. Yeah.
Like we just gotta get it out of just get it out the vault. We fuck it. We paid money for it, and
Well,
Mm.
inside us are two bears.
Don't fucking
GT. I
start
don't know if
that.
I don't know. I don't know if you knew this. I don't know if you knew this. Inside us are
I
two bears.
I
But
haven't even
we're
seen
seeming
that movie and I hate it.
we're seemingly on a precipice, though, of a reintroduction to the DC universe. As we know, James Gunn is helming the next iteration of the DC universe, the Chapter One, Gods and Monsters, starting in 2025 with
Which is a terrible
Superman
movie.
Legacy. Superman Legacy. A new introduction to Superman. Were you ready to give up the one that you had? Were you ready to give up Cavill, especially after what Dwayne did to all of us when he was like, "Hey guys, he's here to stay."
Oh man. I think I feel like I've let it go for a long time because I kind of quit after Justice League.
Okay.
Um, I and the fucking the weird allusions to like Superman with no face.
Yes. Yeah. I also felt like post Justice League, there was a lot of I promise we'll fix it when it came to Superman. I felt like I kept hearing PR
Yeah,
things of like, we're doing Man of Steel 2. Don't worry, guys. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix
Jesus.
it. Don't worry, guys. We're gonna
It's
fix it.
Homer shouting at the pig. It's still good. It's still good.
Yes, and now it's gone.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill is gone as Superman, but in his
I
place,
still respect how much passion Henry seemed to have for it,
totally. And
and
he
that's
looks the
what
part,
kept me
man.
in there for so long.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess if he was one of those people, kind of like Hugo Weaving, who was like, I'm not really, like I'm not stoked to
Right.
be back.
Yeah.
uh, we wouldn't be into it either. But it's the fact that Henry has been so vocal about how much he digs this role and how perfect he is for it in many ways. Um, it's just an ill-fated attempt given the studio interference and stuff. And we don't know what James Gunn's Superman's going to look like yet, or how he's going to lay the groundwork for that. But
You know what? I will pose a question to you. I posed to Yogi, and it's almost a defeatist question because we're
mhm,
asking for a lot here. Um,
right.
in your opinion,
Hmm.
does this to break through all of the noise and the negativity? Does this kind of have to be the best Superman they've ever made?
Yes, and I also think that we haven't seen what that looks like yet.
Really?
Yes, I feel like while Reeves is probably what people say as their favorite, that was the most studio like bare bones what you could read about Superman on the front cover of a comic.
Okay.
As far as like the knowledge and stuff like that. And
We're
they got
referring
by a lot. I'm
we're
talking about like
referring to the
Reeves.
70s.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Felt very surface level Superman, which is fine.
Sure.
But I feel like we've managed to reach some depths with that character, whether it's through comics, Elseworld stories, etc. Even the animated series was able to plunge some depths into that character. Um, Man of Steel was a terrific dissection of that character,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think it was the right first step for the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So this is gonna
We
have to
have
do
3 episodes on that whole topic. If anybody
yes,
would like a
yes,
more in-depth
right.
opinion.
Yes. You can check that out. I think it's episode 150, as a matter of fact. I have it ingrained in
Nice.
my head. Um, so yeah, this is gonna have to do a lot, and also I still think that I still fear that
Mm,
people with surface level knowledge of the character are going to be afraid to allow him to be sort of goody two shoes, sort of like how I always say Chris Evans is portrayed as Captain America. I hope that they're able to get him there where he can still be cool and genuine at the same time.
okay.
I don't even care if they make fun of him in how white bread he is as a hero. I kind of like the
Language.
juxtaposition. Yeah, I kind of like the juxtaposition. But yeah, it's crazy that you put it that way, but I do honestly believe that this next thing is going to it's going to redefine him for an entire new generation. I wonder how many people who have never read a comic watch Man of Steel, absolutely loved Man of Steel, and are going to be opposed to a different kind of Superman. Now that they've been educated to what they sort of like about the character, and it could be, the previous iteration.
Sure.
I think a pretty good litmus test is what we're talking about today, My Adventures with Superman, because I do think that it manages to have a bit of the wholesomeness that I'm looking in, but also can raise the stakes and the emotion and give us some pretty hefty action scenes and action sequences. I wonder if any of this is the sort of dry run for whether or not the audience can have an appetite for this kind of Superman. And I was doing my notes for this show,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw like again, one of those like YouTube short things, and it
Yes.
said my problem with My Adventures with Superman. And I'm like, huh. I'm like, huh. I'll say it up front. I did not have any, or if I guess just not coming to mind right now, major issues with the show. So I'm like, let me see. Let me open my mind to this.
He said the
It was
thing.
hogwash. Hogwash. He says, first of all, it's called My Adventures with Superman as if it's going to be taking place from Lois Lane's perspective, but like sometimes it's from Clark's perspective, so it's kind of misleading in the title. I was like, are you serious?
You mean like a TV show?
And then he's like, and it doesn't really know what it wants to be because like it wants to be like wholesome and stuff like that, but it's also on Adult Swim. Like, what does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with? But it might go. This might be part of that fundamental misunderstanding of the character.
Yeah.
This where it's like, oh, we're adults, so adult means gritty and pessimistic and
Yeah.
torturous on occasions. And I don't think that that's the case
The
when it comes to
the 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 inverse of that is having Superman the animated series on the obvious after school kids block
yeah,
of television content, and yet I saw Darkseid murder a man.
right, yeah,
So don't tell me about the content and where it's being presented.
100%. But like, I think that's problematic. That's a problematic thought process to say that a cheery Superman is only meant for children.
Sure.
I think we have to take the character back to sort of those roots. But in saying that, with this being such a different iteration of the character, what did you think about how they handled Superman in this, his characterization? Obviously, we'll get into changes to the origin and stuff like that when we get into our recap. But I guess overall, what do you think of the series as somebody who has fandom for Superman in many different iterations? Is there room in the Superman lexicon for this iteration of Superman?
I'll say this. In the beginning, it was really weird. Because like I was not I won't say I was uncomfortable, but it was jarring to see Superman done with some very common anime tropes.
Yes.
It's got the most anime intro ever.
Yes,
Uh,
and outro.
yes, it does. Um, the art style is there. The art style is that sort of mix of anime and American animation that we have a lot these days.
Yeah.
That is that you could attribute maybe even to the Boondocks or some other stuff that's been out. Uh,
Invincible as a modern
very that's a much closer
sort of.
one. Invincible, yes. It
Yeah.
looks almost exactly like you could cross that show over and not change anything.
Right.
Um, just the use of the Superman suit and the Sailor Moon esque.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
My God. Um,
I did
yeah,
like how the depiction of powers looked in this. It just at
yeah.
least felt like it came from a place. Like you can almost see it like a charge up kind of stuff. I it We talk a lot about how the Man of Steel fight, the big fight that everyone remembers, is
Yes.
basically based off of anime influence. People of that power level just smashing each other through buildings, etc., and so forth.
Oh yeah.
Um,
But
it,
also,
it
if I may be upset about that for one simple purpose, because again, I'm going to go
Sure.
back to Superman the animated series.
Mhm.
I don't understand the I don't understand the discourse about the buildings as someone who
About
watched that about
oh yeah,
the destruction of the destruction that goes on in their fights.
the casualty count.
I won't even say the casualty count. The casualty count is negligible because like listen, if you want to talk casualty counts, let's watch Power Rangers. But
Yeah,
how many buildings did they obliterate?
all the time.
Um, when people talk about the amount of property damage and city damage that got done at the end of Man of Steel in such a negative way, and I'm just like, did none of you watch this cartoon? Slamming the buildings is a normal occasion.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
So like, it's one of those things where like I feel like I guess it's exactly what you're talking about. There can be something of a tonal disconnect in between what your Superman has been doing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the stuff with like the two gods fighting in the sky is very Dragon Ball Z or whatnot.
Yeah. And there's just so many shots and moments in this where I'm just like, oh, like, and we all, like the anime Superman is basically Goku, but it's like,
Yes,
um,
in a
it's
sense.
so, in a sense, it's so,
I guess it's All
I,
Might now since they made a whole show to do the 1-to-1 comparison.
yes, I did. I feel like this works perfectly. Like this art style um, and this property, Superman. It almost makes me want to almost a universe of that, like
Uh huh.
whatever Earth 12, I think they called it. Um, with just that take, I like the episode length. I like the clean,
Yeah.
22 minutes. I think that totally helps.
So that actually what you said actually does reveal something to me because I thought the 22 minutes was odd at first. That's because that was me watching it on HBO Max going, why are they doing TV
Yeah,
minute?
yeah, yeah.
This is
Right.
TV length. That's odd.
Yeah. But I think you're in and out, there's not a lot of fluff.
No,
Um,
there isn't.
I think it's fun. I think it has some real somber moments. It makes you question some things. It really makes you get into the head of Clark. Um, I was surprised by how well this went. I guess
I
even
was
with some
too.
very specific changes. It almost goes to show that you can still handle the character correctly with major changes to lore and origin, etc., if you keep the same tenements that make them what they're famous for.
Yeah, there were some very interesting departures
Hmm.
from Superman lore with the direction of the characters. None of them were. I don't think any of them were major. It just puts people in different times and in different places.
Yeah,
Um,
and it
which
changes the
is
series of events or how he gets inspiration and stuff. He's
yeah,
always meant to get to where we know he goes. This is just another road, and because they change so much, it's a road we can't really predict. There might be certain trees we recognize because we've been on this road before, but
right.
yeah, they're looking to go the long way, give us a scenic route almost with this new interpretation of Superman. I kind of dig it.
The scenic, also like a lot of things are sped the hell up.
That's true.
I felt like the first two episodes are just like, okay, we're just speed running this we are speed running the origin story of all of these of the three main characters.
Yeah. Um. So let's get right into it. My Adventures with Superman is an American animated superhero television series based on the DC Comics character Superman. The series is developed by Jake Wyatt and produced by Warner Brothers Animation and DC Entertainment, with animation outsourced by Studio Mir in South Korea. The
Mer.
series the series premiered on Adult Swim on July 7th,
Mm-hmm.
2023, with each episode releasing on Max shortly after broadcast. A second season is currently in production. The story follows Clark Kent as he builds his secret identity as Superman and explores his mysterious origins, and Lois Lane, whom Clark develops a crush on, and vice versa, who is on her way to becoming a star reporter. Teaming up with
Mm-hmm.
photographer and Clark's best friend Jimmy Olsen, the trio breaks the stories that matter and save the day against many villains in the city of Metropolis while also contending with Task Force X. So let's get right into this series. So, our series starts with a young Clark Kent in Smallville, seemingly unlocking his superpowers in order to save a woman and a baby from a car accident. He realizes he has super speed and the ability
No
to fly.
microwaves.
No microwaves. uh, he has super speed. He has the ability to fly. So he like bathes in the sunlight above his farmhouse, amazed at what he can do. So off this rip, I was already happy because he was happy.
Okay.
I'm in the bag for superhero scenes where they are happy that they have powers. Like when they find out their
Right.
powers and they're happy. I think that's a big moment in the flight scene in Man of Steel.
Or he
Possibly one of
starts
the
like
few times
laughing
he
about it.
smiles. Yeah, it's been one
Yeah.
of the few times like he smiles in that. And they have it here. They have the joy, they have the sunlight. It's the imagery that I think of when I think of Superman. So I already felt like we
Hmm.
were we were in good things, but I really like that when the powers
Which is
activate, like
amusing because it's the version that everyone considers the most dreary.
yeah, yeah, right. I did like when the powers activated, like it starts with his eyes and his whole body seemingly you gets charged up and then boom, super speed.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool.
It gave me harkens back to the new 52 armor.
Yeah, yeah, that he was rocking.
Yeah.
So we fast forward to present day in Metropolis, where Clark Kent and his longtime friend, roommate, and photographer Jimmy Olsen get ready to start their first days as interns for the Daily Planet. Likewise, senior intern Lois Lane is excited to break the story of a century and get past the stigma of being an intern in general. Jimmy's black. Jimmy's black again, baby, and he's not James. He's Jimmy. What do you think
I'm back in
of
black. Yes, I'm
now?
back in black.
Now that we've introduced our three, what did you think of Jack Quaid as Clark Kent, Alice Lee as Lois Lane, and Ishmael Saeed as Jimmy Olsen?
Man, that voice takes some getting used to in Superman.
Yeah, it does.
Uh,
It's so mild mannered, right? Like it's the most mild mannered.
I am so used to Jack Quaid playing this like sort of squirmy everyman character.
Feckless dude that can't get nothing right. Yeah,
Yeah, and it's just
yeah.
like also like super anxiety ridden and yeah, it's so odd to see him
Almost
play.
neurotic, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like there's a lot of that in live action in The Boys. There is a ton of it in this in Star Trek Lower Decks, where he is the not titular, but the main character. And like when I when I'm hearing Superman, you know the difference, George, especially when you get a character that jumps mediums. There is a
Mm-hmm.
different version of their voice when you are doing voiceover than when you are just being recorded.
100%.
I'm
Yeah.
hearing the Brad Boimler voice from Lower Decks in Superman, and it is the weirdest thing.
Oh, and we're gonna get to somebody that I was like, wait, that cannot be who I think
I
that
know
they
exactly
are.
what you're talking about. I can't wait.
I was like,
Um,
wait a second. Um, but yeah, I think that those three did a really good job. I actually really like
yes,
Alice Lee as Lois Lane.
I was gonna say I do really like the lowest. There is that take no shit energy.
Yes, yes, and I like Lois Lane as a character. The more I learn about her, the more I read about her, I like her as a character. But this is the kind of Lois that I read in the books. Like the one
Okay,
that's going to try to break rules to get the story, the one that's going that isn't scared,
yeah,
the one that is just as capable as Superman on occasion in terms of like figuring out what's going on, getting the job done, etc. and so forth. And I thought she they found ways to make her extremely strong and independent in this, but there was also many points where she was head over heels and feminine. Like
yeah.
they showed the many facets of her.
There's a lot of forgiveness over permission out of this Lois.
Yes, which has always been the thing, right? Like she's gonna just take a helicopter and go to wherever to get the story and stuff. So I like that.
You
I like
gonna
that
be
we start.
mad about it, but I'm gonna get the thing, and you gonna be like,
Yes, yeah. Already starting her situation off with Perry, right there. What'd you think about Jimmy Olsen being a conspiracy theorist?
"That's sure." It
I like
works.
that I think that it alludes to like DC Comics Easter eggs and stuff. You know, like
Yes.
he his page or channel is Flamebird, which
Hmm.
is the other half of that Nightwing Flamebird superhero duo, Kryptonian superheroes or whatever.
Oh, is it?
That's where
Okay.
Nightwing gets his name from because he's a big Superman fan.
Yeah, so I've always understood the Nightwing thing to be like Superman told him a story about a Kryptonian hero called the Nightwing. I
Hmm.
didn't know about the Flamebird part, but that's cute. That's cool.
Yeah,
I took
yeah.
I took Flamebird as like an internet slang.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Flame War, Flamebird, dude,
yeah.
whatever.
That's
Maybe it
better than
is a
Fire.
double entendre in that sense. I don't know.
I can see that, and it's way better than Firefox. A flame bird is way better
Oh
than a
dear.
Firefox. Uh,
Went there, okay.
Black editor Perry White. Perry's black, y'all. I'm digging
Guess
all
who's
this.
black? Black again. Not
He's
exactly Lawrence Fishburne.
was he the first black Perry White?
Lawrence, I think so.
I believe so as well. I'm almost certain
I don't
that
remember ever seeing another one.
I'm almost certain that James Olsen from Supergirl was the first black Jimmy Olsen because we did not stop hearing about that first year that happened.
The hunkiest
Um,
Olsen you've ever seen.
but it also shows it doesn't really matter. You know, like those are not tenements of the character. Like if you change those things, they can still
Yeah.
keep all the things that you remember about them. But Perry White assigns Olsen and Kent to work under Miss Lane, who uses them to help her investigate a recent technology theft. They track down the thieves to the docks and realize what was stolen was some military grade robots. The leader of the thieves, Leslie Willis, activates a single robot that Clark in disguise takes out. She unleashes a legion of them to battle Clark, and they almost take him out before Lois manages to deactivate them. Seeing her in near danger, Clark activates his super speed and saves her before flying away. Lois and crew try to get Perry White to publish a story on the robots and this mysterious meta-human Lois is calling Superman, but he refuses because the photos are blurry.
Mm.
Lois suggests getting an exclusive interview from Superman, and the guys agree to help her do so. I like this first episode because I like that he gets on her for lying. Like
Yes.
she has been using them to get a story, and he's like, "That's not right." And I was like, "Damn, all right, I'm with that." But you're right. Permission, right? Permission first.
Yeah. Forgiveness over permission. Yeah, and she will continue to just make stuff up to get what she wants.
Yes, yes, she will. Um,
Also, I'm just noticing this in play. I do this when I do these episodes. I play clips while I watch, while I
mhm.
talk to you. Um, I am just noticing now that I am enamored with what's his name's cup, coffee cup. Um,
The generals
no,
or Perry.
Perry's
What did it say?
nothing. But as I'm looking at it, I'm also thinking it kind of looks like the weird digital villain from Aqua Teen Hunger
Oh,
Force.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what you're
And now
talking
I'm like,
about.
is that a reference because it's Adult Swim? I don't know.
That's funny as hell.
I'm
Um,
doing it as hard as I can.
I, what I also like in this is that I thought that they were going to do the reveal here. I thought Lois was just gonna, like put two and two together. The
Yes.
guy that say there's Superman. I thought it was about to be a rap, but like, she doesn't know still. Um, but yeah, she saves him. He almost got his ass kicked by those robots, which is something
Hmm.
you rarely see either. Like he had like lumps and stuff. He got like cut, beat up and
Yeah.
stuff. So it really shows you that this is early days Superman. Um, and yeah, it establishes the rapport between these three, which I think is really cool. We realize that Clark doesn't know much about his superpowers other than the fact that when he was a kid, his family showed him the ship he crash landed in. While standing on it, the ship started to activate ancient alien tech that frightened him, so he buried it, intent on living his life as a normal boy. I thought that scene was incredibly effective as well. How
Mm-hmm.
quickly he covers that fucking chip back up. He's like, no, no, we don't gotta deal with any of this. Let's just forget
Yeah.
I asked.
Which,
Forget I
which you
asked.
know, is obviously the most child reaction ever. Nope, don't like it. Bury it forever.
Yep, yep. And they basically do the lines from Man of Steel, like, "Can I just be your son? Well, you are my son,"
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Good Kents, that's thumbs up for me. Got a pa Kent, ma Kent, sitting there trying to freaking motivate their kid,
I
not
I
dump him in the
I
closet.
I feel like I'm projecting, but the mother gave me Diane Lane.
There's a bit there. There's a bit there. There's a bit there. Um, but yeah, they're super supportive of him. They're super loving of him. So if he doesn't want to deal with this right now, they don't force him to. He does, though, as an adult, return to Smallville, dig up the space pod to get some answers. Once he steps on it, he activates an alien hologram and sees visions of an alien planet amidst a space war being destroyed.
Mm.
We also see like a cool ass Jor-El who's speaking Kryptonese is what my subtitles said. I just assumed that was Kryptonian. He's speaking Kryptonian, but I guess he's speaking Kryptonese. Were
Um,
you privy to any of this?
Actually, yes, and I so for some reason, you ever wonder why you have vivid memories of the most mundane things?
Yes.
A very vivid memory of arguing about this with somebody because in Supergirl, the first season refers to it as Kryptonese,
Okay.
and somebody
Interesting.
got really mad about it as if this was like a criminal act by writers who don't care about actual Superman lore. Like no, it's Kryptonian, not Kryptonese. Actually,
It's Kryptonese.
actually,
Right,
um,
right.
in very early Superman lore, and by early I mean like right in the beginning, they did use the term Kryptonese before they started using Kryptonian.
Yeah.
So it's like whatever.
It's so ironic how many things about Krypton, Kryptonite, Kryptonese come in way later than most
Yeah,
people realize
yeah.
in Superman lore. They basically had just said he, landed from another planet. They kind of was done with that. Like he spent like 20 years just saving the world before they were like, and his father, and going around there. How would you think of cool
Ah,
war general Jor-El that you can't understand?
before I get to that, I will say it's funny to me as someone who has attempted to sort of like casually write how often I overthink lore ideas, and then when I look up other stuff, it's just like I don't know. We came up with that shit like 30 years later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
There was none of it on the page. Like if you see it in a vacuum, you can only imagine that like Siegel and Schuster wrote this stuff all out in the beginning, and then there's like,
yeah,
no, we can't.
yeah. We're
No,
talking about a character
they just
80
said it was
years of
another planet.
history. Yeah, 80 years of history, and everybody. I mean, have we definitively said what the hell happened to Krypton? Because even in 2000, I want to say 16, Brian Michael Bendis was like, "Well, actually,
Oh, good old
Rogozar was the
Rogel
one who,"
Sar.
and I'm like, God, we're still mining, we're still going back. So yeah,
God, I hate Rogel. All my homies hate Rogel Sar.
I agree, I agree. But yeah, what do you think of Jor-El? New cool Jor-El.
Um, he kind of reminds me of a mix of Russell Crowe and the Jor-El we got from Rogozar, where he was like crazy.
Yeah, and there's no way Man of Steel doesn't play a part in this, right?
I think I think for this age, Man of Steel will always have a little bit of a place in every Superman after that. After
I can I can see that.
because like we me and you have pointed out on numerous occasions, a little bits of Man of Steel we've seen in Superman and Lois. You
Yeah,
know
and
what I mean?
it basically it's like a wedding where it's like something blue, something borrowed. Like that's how you make a
Yeah.
Superman now. It's like, a little bit from this, a
It's
little bit
always
from
something
that.
old. There's occasionally something new. There's a lot of things
Yeah,
borrowed, and it's
a
definitely a
lot.
lot of blue.
Yes, yes, yes. That might be the most apt metaphor I've ever come up with. Um, he steps on it, it activates the hologram. The ship covers his body in a Kryptonian suit and cape, and his mother, Martha Kent, adds a belt and shorts to complete the look that would become iconic with Superman. What do you think about the suit? Dark blue, light blue, patches, no undies. Well, up front, no undies.
Suit,
What do you think?
the suit's great. The S can mold into itself at times to being almost unrecognizable.
Mm-hmm.
But like I guess that's the way that they designed the marking. It's I think it's one of the most alien versions of the Superman crest I've seen.
I think so as well, to the point that I don't think anyone ever says that it's an S.
No, I don't think they do either. So like you're almost led to think that the Superman of it all doesn't even come from that. It's just like
It was Lois just saying that's a Superman.
yeah, yeah.
And now he's like reverse engineering the logo to be like, yeah, yes, Superman.
That's what it was. Yes, that's what it always
That's
was.
exactly what this was. Yeah, exactly what this was. um. So, meanwhile, the criminal known as Leslie Willis, aka Livewire, which I don't think she's ever called Livewire in this. She's being hunted by the organization she
I
stole
think
the
she's
robot
I
tech
think she's
from.
passively called Livewire by somebody else later.
Like, oh, you're a real Livewire, Leslie, like that kind of like that kind
No,
of thing.
no, I think somebody just sort of titles her as Livewire and they just like accept it.
Okay. Yeah,
'Cause
Task
I'm
Force
pretty
S is after
I
her,
didn't
by the
even
way.
recognize who it was, but then at some point I hear Livewire and I just go, "Oh, she's oh right, that one."
Every time I see an African American woman in a DC property, I'm always thinking she's Silencer.
Oh
Off the rip,
no!
I'm off the rip. I'm always like, is this Silencer? Is this Silencer?
Did
But
you
no, it's
force her in
Leslie Willis.
again?
Yeah, it's Leslie Willis, Livewire, who made her first appearance in a television show, not a comic, in Superman the animated series. So she's
Mm.
continuing her history of appearing in animation. But she is being tracked down by Task Force X for stealing tech from them. And she
I was
arranges,
gonna say in a most recognizable voice.
yes, she is. She sets up a meeting with the leading agent, Slade Wilson, who is voiced by Chris Parnell, of all people, Jerry from Rick and Morty, Cyril Figgis from
Archer.
Archer. I feel like there's another
Cyril Figgis.
one. Stir Friday, bro.
Suppressing fire.
It's all about Stir Friday.
Oh
But
my
yeah, I'm
god.
like, what a ineffectual voice for. But this is like cutesy anime. Slade Wilson, what do you think about this redesign almost?
I don't recognize that man at all.
No.
No. Manu
Could you
Bennett would
accept?
never.
Could you accept a Deathstroke without the half and half mask? Because he
Yeah, I
doesn't
can
have
deal with
one in
that.
this. Yeah.
No, I can the mask I can deal without. There's a lot of Deathstroke things I could deal without from that lore.
Oh
But
yeah. He
decisions are
can't.
made.
He has to walk around and announce himself to his neighbors.
Oh
we just,
Jesus.
we'll just we'll just put that there. I don't
But
think we'll see any of those elements in this show.
no. But like um it's definitely not unique to Deathstroke in this show because they take a lot of liberties with some villains in this show.
That's true. That's true.
But it was very interesting to see. Um, Chris Parnell is a voice that will take getting used to. Yeah,
Yeah. But in keeping with Deathstroke, like he's shown to be incredibly proficient. He's Black Ops. He is the main man here until we realize who's pulling his strings. So they did keep up with keeping him intimidating, keeping him,
not the main man. No,
not the main man, you bastard. But yeah, they kept him threatening, which is the only thing I really need my Deathstroke to be. At the meeting, Willis threatens to detonate explosives across the city sewers if they continue hunting her. Explosives Lois and Jimmy come across by accident as they unintentionally crash the meeting. With the detonator out of her hands, Willis reveals her electrical supersuit and uses uses its powers to fight Wilson until Superman arrives to subdue her. Wilson
Mm.
damages her suit's power crystal, leading Superman to destroy it after it gives him another vision of the space war. Though Jimmy's clear photos convince Perry to publish the story, he gives the byline to his staff reporters, which pisses Lois off to no end. She is
Mm.
determined to earn the trust of Superman and sell his secrets in an article that is sure to elevate her status at the planet. Later, Slade Wilson tortures Willis at a black site for information about Superman, while Amanda Waller and the General watch. Willis confesses that there is Task Force X tech out in the wild. Was there any sort of guessing game with you as to who the General was, or was that like 2 and 2?
Um, it didn't come to me at first. It comes to me in one of the flashbacks.
Okay.
But not at
Like you're
first.
like Anderson, the son of a bitch. Anderson is back.
No, it didn't come to me immediately.
Okay.
Um,
Uh,
I can be terrible about that sometimes. There are things that like that people. I guess people are just always thinking, and I'm not really reaching out for something. Just like, oh, where's this gonna go?
were you tracking
Who's this guy?
who's playing Amanda Waller?
I found out later.
Okay.
But I was very happy about it.
Hey, Deborah Wilson, who has voiced the character
Back again.
before. Yeah, who had voiced the character before. And quick side note, I am totally for the constant of Amanda Waller. That seems to be the one thing that they've kind of sort of realized they can nail. You know, like I think her in the DCEU was fine. I thought Viola Davis did a great job portraying her in the DCEU. We've seen her in Arrow now. We've seen her possibly in more projects than we've ever seen. They put her in Green Lantern. She was Angela Bassett in Green Lantern. So they've always tried to put Amanda Waller in these things. And I think the more they have, the more they've
Bass
been
is a
able
great choice though for that.
Oh, 100%. But the more that they continue to use her, the more I think they're perfecting her duplicitous nature. Her no nonsense and all that kind of stuff is really starting to ring true across all these iterations. So yeah, man, keep using the wall. I'm completely down with that.
I think my least favorite version might be Arrow.
Yeah, the Megan Good version.
I don't think that was her.
No. I called it the Megan. I don't know what that name of the actress is.
I think it's, I know who it is because I know she's connected to Manu Bennett because they were both in Spartacus.
Oh,
as like a pairing, as a couple, I think.
Oh, she was the slave girl that he was digging on because he was being used as meat for
Lucy Lawless.
Yeah, for Lucy Lawless.
Yeah,
and he was his real love.
Yeah,
she was his real love. Yeah. What a
I
show.
don't. Yes, I think, and I think the actress that played Waller actually comes in later in the show to play that character. Because like Spartacus goes through some cast changes.
Man, that first season, bro. And then gosh. So I like the convention that they've already laid out. The super villain of the week will be somebody using Task Force X tech.
Yes.
You know, very similar to that season of The Flash, where everyone's using like iPads and stuff that are they're like messed with some sort of dark matter particles or whatever the hell.
Oh wait, okay. So have you seen Lucifer?
I have not.
Oh man. Okay. So I was gonna say then you would know both actresses. Cynthia Adai Robinson was the one who played Waller in Arrow. She plays Nevaeh on Spartacus for seasons 2 and 3. But season 1 Nevaeh and prequel Nevaeh is played by Leslie Ann Brandt, who's in Lucifer and a few other things.
Interesting. I wonder why they. Oh, she was unavailable.
No, I have no idea. Maybe, who knows? Because there's that big gap between like season 2 and 3 because they were waiting for the original Spartacus actor to come back from the cancer thing,
To recover, yeah.
and
He
maybe
passed
like
away.
maybe she just got a new job and things happened.
Oh yeah. Sometimes
Yeah.
you just gotta return to the WWE, bro. That's what happens
Oh
in the
Jesus.
schedule. What do you think about these tech based villains?
Um, it took a while to wrap my head around because like I keep trying to figure out where all this stuff is coming from, and I keep expecting like freaking Toy Man to show up or something.
Yeah, yeah. Because that's part of the mystery as well. You know,
Yeah,
all the tech that's being used by these criminals is extremely powerful, and so who the hell
and
made them?
and Superman employs a lot of tech based villains.
Yeah, and also what's the original intention for these very 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 deadly weapons? We know that criminals stole them, but what was
Yes.
what was the OG intention for them? Uh, so yeah, I like how that puts us there. Clark, realizing that Lois is trying to hunt down Superman, tries to continue his duties as a hero while narrowly ducking Lois at every turn. And it doesn't help that the staff writers, Steve Lombard, Cat Grant, and Ronnie Troop, are given credit for their Superman story. I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was funny as hell that Lois kept running to his to wherever the crimes were, and then you'd be like, "Oh, I'll see you later. I'm done here."
Bagels.
Really, really fun stuff. And the introduction to the staff writers is the most anime thing to ever anime, right? As they're like saying their names and the spotlights hitting them and all that kind of stuff. I was like, yeah, this is
Yeah.
extremely stylistic. Um, when our crew hears that Intergang, a low-level group of criminals, just used some stolen tech to free one of their own, they impersonate the staff writers and manage to find out where Intergang will hit next. They head to Metropolis City Bank, where Roundhouse, The Mist, and Soban McDougal. I'm very kind of upset that they didn't just name her, but whatever.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't want to keep calling her Soban McDougal. um, they are the aforementioned Intergang, and they're using a ice cannon to rob the place. The cannon malfunctions, freezing everything in sight before Superman, realizing his friends are in danger, uses his newly discovered heat vision to destroy it.
Hmm.
So Saban McDougal is the Silver Banshee. Am I saying that right?
I believe so.
Yes, she is the Silver Banshee. She was in Supergirl as well. But she's given tech so she could do her iconic scream in this. Uh, is Roundhouse? That's the Teen Titan guy. I feel like Roundhouse was
Uh,
one of those weird New 52 Teen Titan uh people that they put when Damien was on the Damien was on the team.
oh, I don't know that one. My Teen Titans knowledge is very little.
Let me just cross ref. Yep, 100%. Yep, that's exactly who
Ha!
it is. He was. I remember because he was blue skinned for some reason, and he had a big
Interesting.
red circle on his stomach. He's in the Teen Titans with Raven, Lobo's daughter, Wallace. You know those guys, those cats and kittens. But yeah, in this he is a villain. This has to be the first time he's ever been used in animation because the character is less than 10 years old.
Hmm.
Task Force X secretly takes Intergang into custody while Superman accepts Lois's interview. He confesses that he's still figuring himself out, but is committed to saving people. After turning back into Clark, Lois tells him about the upcoming Superman interview, but says that she suspects Superman is lying.
Hmm.
Did Lois ever lose favor in your eyes? At several points, she's trying to do an expose and just outwardly out Superman, or even now she thinks that he's lying. Does she ever lose favor in your eye?
No, I think the most important thing in the world is to assume everyone's lying to you.
That's also very true. Yeah. It puts Clark in such a weird position though, right? Like he's trying to meet her in the middle with being genuine, and in his
Yeah.
interactions as Superman, she does seem to be genuine. But the second that he goes back into Clark, she's like, I got him. Like I got him. I can't wait to trick his ass. And Clark's like, oh my god, yeah. I think that's interesting, and I also like that you'll see these moments where she is in complete awe watching Superman save the world, but then she'll look for Clark, and then when she
Yes.
finds Clark, she'll hug up on him. It's not. I hated all those interpretations where she's like, "Oh my god, if I could blow a man," and then she'll be like, "Clark, ew, what are you doing here?" I've always hated that. It always kind of made her look shallow, a little bit,
Yeah.
a little bit. Um, but yeah, I miss hard chain smoking
It,
Lois
it
Lane, Margot Kidder, Lois Lane.
Jesus Christ. It doesn't help too that the especially in the comic books that like the depiction of Clark Kent is so unassuming and especially unattractive that like that like that's the whole point. It's to take any heat off him. Like nobody would believe it was him,
Yeah,
obviously. But it also leads to that idea where everyone just kind of like treats the hot mess guy over here like dirt.
yes, and I guess that's also like some. I think some people misinterpret that to be an act. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think some people are like, "Oh, he's just a small town country boy." I'm talking about like writers are like,
Okay.
"Oh, he's corny." It's like, no, he's actually so smart. He has to play corny to be, what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
To like
yeah.
trick the world. I think it's like in Superman Returns, something like he just busts his ass. In Superman and Lois, he's picking up the gym bags all heavy, like, oh my god, I can't, oh,
Ugh.
hapless dad. I don't. What am I supposed to do? And it's like it totally
Yeah.
works. So the interns get an assignment to cover the Amazo Tech Gala held by Dr. Ivo.
Damn. I was veiled.
Things get wild when Clark overhears that Ivo was voted out by his board of directors and he's not happy about it. Their nosiness gets them kicked out of the gala, but Lois manages to sneak Clark back inside. They share a tender moment before discovering a hidden room full of tech similar to what Leslie Willis and Intergang stole. They
Mm.
find this just in time as Ivo begins a demonstration of his deadly Parasite 1.0 armor.
Mm.
To be fair, because this was a Mazo tech, I totally thought we were gonna get a Mazo. I didn't think
I
we were
did
gonna
too.
do
I did
Parasite.
too. I was sitting there going just like I'm like Ivo, what does Ivo do? Then he mentions a Tech. It's like, oh, we're doing a Mazo, and then it shifts right to Parasite. I was like, you
Right to
got me.
It's just right to Parasite, and that's why I love. Like, I feel like I'm new to a lot of this Superman lore. Like, I
Okay.
got to watch, I got to watch it in Supergirl. I got to watch it in the animated series, and just every iteration just cements this cast of characters around him. That like I hope to, and I'm eventually going to know this world as well as I know Gotham. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like when they say, "Oh, and by the way, Mr. Wayne, we hired a botanist, Dr. Pamela Isley," and you're like, "Oh, you know what I'm saying?" You're like, "Oh, I know where that goes." Now
Mm.
I'm like, I hear Ivo, I hear Soban, I hear Leslie Willis. I now know what those names mean. I now know what inner gang means. We'll talk about checkmate in a bit, but I now know what those. I'm now can color in those blank spots in the Superman world, and I like
Mm.
that this show is helping educate me to what that is. So yeah, the armor is able to drain the power from organic matter and power the wearer of the suit. Ivo tries to kill his chairman, but Clark becomes Superman to save him. Ivo uses this time to show how deadly his armor is by taking the fight to the Man of Steel, but realizing the armor absorbs energy, Superman stops fighting Ivo directly as Lois and Jimmy deactivate the panic room. With the suit depowered, Superman removes it from Ivo, the tech giant becoming hideously deformed from the suit's side effects.
Mm-hmm.
Ivo is rushed to the hospital, and the interns attempt to go back to take pictures of what they saw, but return to find the secret room empty.
Yes.
Lois kisses Clark for the first time, considering their night a date, And later, after submitting her expose on Ivo, Lois finds a torn tabloid article involving Kansas miracle sightings in Clark's coat. She puts two and two together, reworks her whole evidence board, and boom, boom, boom,
Dun
realizes that
dun
Clark Kent
dun.
is Superman. Da-da-da. Um,
I was very happy
good,
about
but
this.
I was just about to ask you, good, bad. Where do you sit on the trope? How long should it last? This whole like double life, not telling the person that you like. How much patience? I guess I'm asking. Would you have had for? I don't know who Superman is.
If it were a normal person, I would have a lot more patience for it. But there is a conflict between her being so close to him and her also being a top level reporter.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a joke in the Flash where like it's like, oh, how did you know this whole time? It's like, Barry, I'm the lead goddamn detective for the Central City PD.
Yeah.
Come on.
Right. Those people would put clues together that the heroes don't believe that they're leaving.
Yeah.
You know, and I do think by allowing
Or
her,
just
but
I was gonna say, or just like yeah, the hapless mistakes you made by just leaving a little thing in your pocket that you forgot about.
100%. I think that, and again, like, cause he wouldn't think anything of it. He just takes it from the board. He's like, oh, nothing to see here.
Yeah.
But I love that they give her this agency. I love that
Yeah.
she gets to figure it out, and now it's kind of on him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Betrayed by the person she thought was her friend, Lois starts to listen to an old crime scanner in hopes of catching Superman to out him. She witnesses him take down Heatwave, who is another hero using stolen tech to commit crimes. Clark realizes that everyone who shows up
Stolen tech.
with this tech goes missing, but is distracted by Lois, and Heatwave gets away before he can be interrogated. Also, Jimmy's Flamebirds videos are getting dragged online
Nah.
by a bigger content creator. We'll just skip to the end. It's Steve Lombard. he's
Okay.
trolling. He's trolling Jimmy. Superman drops Lois off at the planet for her own safety and later confronts Heatwave, who confesses that they were trying to ditch town because everyone who uses the stolen tech ends up missing. Heatwave will suffer the same fate as it is revealed that Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke, has been the culprit behind the disappearances, and Heatwave is next. After a confrontation with Superman using his robots, Wilson is pulled back by his superiors, the General and Amanda Waller, who allow Superman to save some children who were endangered by their fight. After returning to Lois, she forces Clark to reveal his secret identity by leaping from a building. Clark outs himself as Superman and both sides are furious.
Mm.
Meanwhile, Jimmy is disappointed to learn Clark and Lois failed to attend a pre-planned camping trip to investigate Bigfoot sightings with him. He goes alone, but a large gorilla kidnaps him. Boom, boom, boom.
Jeez.
So, after this episode came out, there was a bunch of toxic Lois Lane memes. Were you privy to this?
Vaguely, but I wasn't sure what they meant. Like, it didn't last long for me, but like, I do remember there being some commentary about the way Lois was acting on the show.
Yes. They believe that just this act of dramatics of leaping from the building and then blaming the man with who if you put two and two together, you can come up with obvious reasons as to why he would not be so forthcoming with this identity.
Sure.
But did you find anything problematic about her behavior? I'm gonna go ahead and say no because I am almost certain that's what Margot Kidder does. Doesn't she jump off like a dam or something like that?
That's what I remember. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember Marco Kidder just like falling off something just to make a point.
Yeah.
Um, no, I didn't see any problems with this at all. I guess there's like I could see how someone might have an issue with her being like she is very certain that she would have never done it to him had she known it was someone close to her, despite her very aggressive attempts
Yes.
to do the thing to him.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, like, and when he gets serious, like Jack Quaid knows how to put it on. When he gets serious and wants to get his, I'm gonna give you a talking to voice. I really like how Clark kind of puts it, how he sees the whole situation. It's like you gave me no choice. Like what? You outwardly said you was gonna out me. Like you said, I'm
Yeah.
going to get all his secrets and going to split them all out. And you're like, why didn't you tell me sooner? Well, I didn't know it was you. Well, come on, you didn't do that to anybody. The fact that you were gonna be able to do that to anybody, like,
Like you were openly parading this as like the ambitious get of your entire career.
yeah. And why would you think that she wouldn't go that route just because it's somebody else?
Right.
It's ridiculous.
And despite the feelings that they have for each other, to some degree, y'all have just met.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if you're. I don't know if I am in deep enough for you to not just be like, "Well, fuck that dude."
Speaking of just met, do you find anything? Does anything feel off about them kind of just falling for each other as quickly as they do in this series? Do you feel like that's something else that they kind of fast tracked?
Not.
Or?
They definitely fast tracked it, yeah. But at the same time, that's one of those things I just give up to TV, where it's just like, look, it's a 22 episode, it's a 22-minute series, and it's only 10 episodes. We got to speed this up here.
Yeah.
It's my same opinion about the way they did it in the movies. It's like, guys, we only get but so many of these films, so you got to speed this up.
Yeah.
If anything else, I was actually very happy with the fact that they didn't do the Lois like Superman, but not so much Clark thing.
Yeah.
Because I
Like I
hate
said, I always
that.
felt like that made her look shallow. I always feel like that makes her look just a little shallow. Um.
Yeah.
So I will have you know, according to IMDb,
Go
creators
on
take
IMDb.
creators take inspiration on Superman, 1978, particularly Christopher Reeves and Margaret Kidder's chemistry. We loved the chemistry. We loved how smart and feisty Lois was, and loved the heart and altruism of Reeves' Superman slash Clark Kent. The movie was clever, fun, and modernized Superman in a way that felt organic to the time period, while also respectful of what came before. It is truly one of our favorite pieces of Superman media.
Mm.
So we see how much the original um, inspired this, and also Dennis Quaid almost played John Kent,
Really?
which would have made them actually, John Kent and Clark Kent.
Nice.
That would have been interesting. And I don't think Dennis Quaid's scared of tornadoes, so I'll just put that out there.
God damn.
Um, even though they aren't on the best terms, Clark reaches out to Lois for help finding the missing Jimmy, and she reluctantly agrees. Their search leads them to an abandoned military installation called Area 52. But upon crossing the fence, Clark's powers falter due to the area being exposed to red solar radiation. And then they're chased by some Momac robots. Meanwhile, inside Area 52, Jimmy awakens to meet his captors, the hyper-intelligent gorilla Monsieur Mala and his partner, the Brain. And they're partners in this. There's
Oh,
no
they are partners.
illusion. Yeah, there's no illusion in this. Some comics and some creators have gone to great lengths to show that this is a romantic, dependent relationship between Monsieur Mala and the Brain. What do you think about this iteration of the characters? I believe the last time we saw these characters portrayed was in Doom Patrol.
Was it?
I definitely remember the Brain. I feel like there was a bit of Monsieur Mala, and I know for a fact that Mr. Nobody says that he got kicked off the team from a telepathic monkey with a beret or something like
Wow.
that. Yeah.
That's a special reference. Okay.
Yes, it is. Were you surprised to see these guys here?
Yeah, I see. I actually was taken aback by you mentioning that there was a history because I didn't know it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Those two. There's some panels, bro, where they're like, it's like towards the end of the world, they're about to die, and it's like, I love you and I love you too. And it's just this
Wow.
monkey
Okay.
holding this robot with a brain's head in it. Yeah, they are partners through and through. This is just the first time they've actually outwardly just said it, kind of.
Right.
So I thought that was pretty brave. Um, the pair reveal that they originally worked for Project Cadmus, another name you will hear in Superman lore.
Oy, oy.
And here,
I texted Yogi just like I can't go through this again.
Cadmus, that was all over Supergirl, man, all over Supergirl.
And Young Justice.
Yeah, yeah, and Young Justice. In this though,
Pain.
in this Project Cadmus is a branch of Task Force X that focused on developing futuristic tech. Before the latter organization betrayed them and raided Area 52. Ever since, the Brain and Mala have been attempting to create a wormhole to access other dimensions where they will be accepted. Eventually breaching Area 52, Clark and Lois reconcile with each other, and Jimmy, who reveals he knew of Clark's secret identity, before joining the Brain and Mala in defeating the Omax. How'd you feel about Jimmy being like, yeah, come on, bro. Like, we've been roommates. I knew you were Superman.
That one's funnier. And the way he's just like, I figured it's a sensitive subject.
I also dig that, like, he never outed him.
Yeah.
He never even kind of was like, I think it might be Clark, Lois. You
Yeah.
know? But he heard her talking crazy. he heard her talking about, like, I cannot wait to drag this man through the mud. And he's like, yeah, I'm not doing that to my boy.
Yeah. What I did think was kind of interesting that, like, I guess he just never thinks to do it, but like he sort of he attempts to sort of drag Clark for telling her first. And I was like, she figured it out. I was already dead to rights, homie.
Yeah. But they're all on the same page, though. I like that. You know, we're all on the same page. Everybody's Gucci. The Brain and Mala are able to successfully open up their wormhole. That sounded way dirtier than I wanted it to sound. But Brain warns Clark that Task Force X is after him before leaving with Mala. The General recruits Ivo to help him use Cadmus technology to help kill Superman, and Ivo's totally down.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm good, bro. Let's do this.
Who has slipped into an obsessive and incredibly narcissistic obsession with Superman.
And he has a cool purple eye now.
Yes.
As a result of the parasite.
As you do.
As you do. To make sure everyone's on the same page, Clark shows Lois and Jimmy his spaceship and explains he doesn't know all there is to know about his origin. But that's not the most important thing on the menu right now, because now that they've made up, Clark and Lois plan their first date. I thought it was kind of cute that they both came up with murder walls in preparation for their date.
They would.
And it's not a 2 dates to the dance, I gotta go there as Clark situation. Right? Mm-hmm. So often when they're planning this date, it's like, how do I impress her as Clark? I got so much stuff to do as Superman. But it's like, no, I'm taking her out as Superman. Like, we're flying here, we're gonna go fly over there. So I'm glad, you know, they got all past that. Unfortunately, Clark is interrupted with a knock at the door. He opens it up, and it is Mr.
Mixel-Spitlick.
Mr. Mixel-Spitlick.
I always go for Mixel-Spitlick.
Mixel-Spitlick. Another very, very prominent name in Superman lore. A multiversal imp who tricks our Man of Steel into helping him steal a recorder. Man of Steel, get it? Recorder from a museum on Earth 1. And he also reveals to Clark that he's from the planet Krypton.
You know what I kind of appreciate? The idea that, like, because it's a multi-dimensional imp and capable of all sorts of things, I can sort of buy that it's been all these actors and it's probably the same imp.
Yeah. Just taking different forms.
Yeah.
In this, he really has that is it Jinn? Sort of like almost evil genie sort of visage.
Yeah.
In this. Did you rub up against that at all?
No, it was all fine to me. If I wanted to connect it all, I'm pretty sure he could take whatever form he wanted to be a jerk about it. But I mean, I don't know how many ways can you define an imp, right? It's just it's
imp's going to
imp. A nondescript magical being.
Does it make any more sense that it looks like an old man that looked like Mr. Magoo? Like, does that make any more sense?
or that it looked like Tom Lennon?
Oh, that looked like Tom Lennon. Oh boy. The other one started a musical. So Lois and Jimmy are recruited by the multiversal League of Lois Lanes to help them stop Mixie and Clark, who they believe to be working with the imp willingly.
Uh-huh.
What do you think of the League of Loises? I love that every multiversal league has to have like some sort of futuristic dystopian half robot mohawk cyberpunk
I
person.
texted John just going, "What the is what? What is this weird show? Hickman, what have you done?"
See, everywhere, everywhere, bro. I do like the fact that like our Lois almost gets humbled by the fact that her and every other iteration has achieved fame and or sometimes even fortune
Yeah.
way younger than she is when she is now.
Right.
Like I've been there, girl. Like I
Uh,
get you. Like I get you.
I already have a Pulitzer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I really like to look into all that stuff and like I said, kind of being humbled by it.
I
So,
appreciated that there are that within the council of Lois's there are occasionally a Doctor Who esque companion.
Olsen,
Olsen, yes.
Jeline Olsen, who's there with them. I like the idea of the League of Lois Lanes because I like that story where she got stuck on Apocalypse and basically ran shit. Remember that when when she was on Apocalypse for a little bit?
Oh yes, that's right. Oh, she's like commanding the war dogs.
Yeah, she went over there and she ran shit. So like I could see our Lois being able to do that. The fact that they we got this Council of Ricks uh and Reed's kind of situation going on here. It felt like it would work. And also they had to add some drama because everything is hunky dory between Superman and Lois currently. They know
Right.
about the secret identity and stuff like that. So suspicious of their intentions, Lois searches their files, stumbling onto the redacted Superman File X. The Lois has managed to track Mixie down, and the League attack Clark while Mixie hijacks the League's vessel and travels to their headquarters with the recorder and Lois's help. As she st-
You'd think a guild of reporters would be would be less susceptible to this woman sneaking around.
yeah, and also, like they got alley oop by Mixie like really simply.
Yeah.
Like they went over there, and he just went over there, and then took their ship and left. And I was like, "What the hell?"
Oh no, he still got his Mirage powers.
And I'm like, oh, they trapped them on that planet, and they all just go, okay, just tune your wrist bracelets things to to wherever we're going next. I was like, okay, whatever. Um, they get to the headquarters, and we find out that the secret to all of his infinite powers in his little bowler hat, which is from the original design. So he
Mm-hmm.
gets his little hat, regains his full strength, causes some chaos until Superman distracts him, allowing Lois to depower him and Jimmy to restrain him. And then they said Rumpelstiltskin and he disappeared. While the League arrests Mixie, Jimmy's counterpart, Jelena, secretly brings the interns back to their native Earth 12. Very spider bite moment. I'm just going to send you back to
Mm.
your world. I'm not going to tell nobody how we did it. Whoops. They're gone. Sorry. When they get to Earth 12, Clark and Lois finish their date. Following this, she opens File X and finds recordings of evil alternate Supermen and a sample of a green crystal the League used to injure Superman. This footage proves that while most Earths do have a Superman, not all of them are good.
Mm-hmm.
I like this moment. I like this reveal, but most importantly, I liked Mixie egging it on.
Yeah.
Mixie like just gets on the couch. He's like, "Oh yeah, I broke out of prison. Like that wasn't like, come on." And he's like, "Yeah, he could be a shitbag. He might be a shitbag. You might want to hold on to that little green thing there." I'm
Mm.
like, what a shitster, what a little impy shitster.
And like she not like his way of egging her on too is also sort of like um how do you say affirming her like, oh, you're the fun one.
Yeah, yeah. And like he was kind of doing that as she was aiding him, right? Like,
Yeah.
uh, and he seems to relish that he knows truths about her that she doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of just telling her the truths, he almost points her in a direction to just be mad at everyone who lied and then just walk
Right.
away. um, our
And
next
it
episode,
even outright tells her that he's basically just going to be sitting back and watching this fall apart.
yeah, this is his daytime drama.
Yeah.
Our next episode opens up to show us where all the kidnapped tech metas are. It seems the general has been keeping them captive and with the help of some shock collars has managed to forcefully recruit Leslie Willis, Inner Gang, and Heatwave into assisting Slade Wilson and Ivo to capture Superman. Clark runs himself ragged after developing super hearing and hearing everyone in the city crying for help. He tries his best to assist everyone and soon becomes sleep deprived and weakened. I really like this. Part of the fun of season 1 of The Flash was watching him develop new powers and then master them. I
Mm.
always thought that this had to be the most nerve wracking of Superman's powers, the super hearing. How do you think about how they tackled this and just the constant the constant being on of Superman?
That noise sounds just infuriating.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a constant sort of uh
It's an alarm bell, right? Like just constant alarms
yeah.
all the time.
I imagine the voices blend into one another.
Yeah. And you want to be able to quote unquote shut it off, but you don't want to be able to shut it off forever. So it's like
Right.
a weird thing he hasn't tuned in yet. But Jimmy comes in and he's like all on coffee and Red Bulls, and he's like, I gotta go save people. I really liked him being overwhelmed because that is, to me, that's Superman. Like he can never do it all. Speaking of trying to do it all, Lois meets her hero, Vicky Vale, but is disappointed.
Did not see that coming.
No, I didn't see it coming either. But she's disappointed when she finds out that she's in town to write a hit piece about Lois's slam piece,
Mm-hmm.
which is, puts them at odds. Superman saves Miss, who managed to evade Task Force X custody from being hit by a truck, but accidentally causes an accident, turning public opinion against him. They just couldn't wait. They just couldn't wait to freaking turn on his ass. I swear, this beginning of this episode is my man stressed out, hearing all the screams in the entire world and trying to save everybody at the same time. And
Yeah.
one mistake, and they are already turning on his ass.
Mm-hmm.
The Mist says Task Force X captured his sister Soban, so Superman offers to rescue her, only to be led by a trap and attacked by Task Force X, they're all armored up, they all got tech. He holds his own despite his weakened state, but he's eventually knocked out by Ivo, who has an upgraded parasite armor. The general stops Ivo from killing Superman as he wants to interrogate the Man of Steel. Mist regrets luring Superman into a trap as Lois and Jimmy rush to the scene, but they arrive just in time to see Task Force X carry Superman away. Boom, boom, boom.
Bum, bum, bum.
This next episode is possibly my favorite because I think it gives us the most information.
Mm.
We're going through this. There's a lot of talk about Zero Day. There's a lot of talk about Nemesis Omega.
That's probably the most interesting thing in the series for me. This weird like flashback having mystery of Superman's not even I've always say Superman's origin because I never thought it was like a a particular origin for Superman, but something connected to him.
Yeah. And also because I know Superman so well, I'm just like, that's not, those are not good Kryptonians. That's not his, like
Yeah.
everyone's trying to point it at him. And I'm like, all right, I already know that that's not anything that's going there. So this 0 Day thing really, 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 really reminds me of Steel in Superman and Lois.
Oh, I'm sorry. I agree. What?
So
I thought you meant the movie. I was like, what?
No. Superman and Lois. Steel
Yes.
witnesses an evil Superman, realizes that that's the capacity of every Superman, and has it ingrained the whole Batman. If there's even a 1% chance, kind of stuff, and kind of imparts that paranoia onto Sam Lane in that show.
Yes.
Gives him the dog tags. Is all like, this guy is public enemy number 1. He will kill you if he gets a chance. it's a little bit of that, but also Sam Lane in this, which I guess I just revealed. Um, he also has a little bit of that Tony Stark post Avengers about him, about like, if this is to come, what am I supposed to do? Like,
Yeah,
like this is so crazy that I have to be up all the time and up on all this tech, and I have to stop any sort of, possibility that this could ever happen again.
yeah.
Um, we see a
All
flashback.
about knowing that, like, no matter what you do, you are probably still woefully unprepared.
100%. And he knows this because we see a flashback to Zero Day where we see the general and Amanda Waller, who he calls Mandy, and I'll never get comfortable with that. I'll
Yeah,
never
that
get
was
comfortable
weird.
with calling Amanda Waller Mandy, but teacher's own.
Like, I
We see
guess
that,
I to some degree, it's like, okay, I can accept that this is also before she is the Amanda Waller we know.
yeah.
So, like, the idea that she would have this, like, sort of like cutesy nickname, vaguely cutesy nickname, is fine
Be-
for the woman she used to be.
Before she kills anyone who knows the name, right? Like she's
Yeah.
the kind of person that she then goes back and finds anybody who called her Mandy and wipes them from the face of the earth.
You're the only one left.
That's it, thus burying Mandy forever. So yeah, back when they were seemingly even just recruits into this, their forces were attacked by an alien army led by a Superman-like figure codenamed Nemesis Omega. He has seemingly the symbol. He's all armored up, so we don't see him, but we also see that he has heat vision.
Yeah.
So yeah, and a mysterious event forced the army into retreat, and because of that, they left their tech behind. That tech is what's being used by Task Force X currently, and uh, Sam Lane has been going out of his way to amass this tech in hopes that he can use it to defend Earth if these guys were to come back. Any clue as to what interrupted this invasion? I was wondering if it was Krypton exploding.
No,
Did he get shot
I
with
guess
something?
I guess that makes sense, but I couldn't put it together. I don't remember if there was any allusions to, like, what to time.
Right, you're right. Well, Lane's younger, right? So we know that there's
Oh, yes, yes.
supposed to be
Lane
some
is
time.
younger. Yes, that much is clear. But I don't think it tells you when it happened.
No, no.
Like, you just Zero Day is an event that they don't give much detail to.
Yeah. In the present day, a bunch of helpful children help Lois and Jimmy search for Superman while the general interrogates him for information on Zero Day.
Mm-hmm.
Superman is heartbroken seeing what he is seemingly being blamed for. He even sheds a tear, and
Mm.
the general starts to doubt that Superman was even a part of this. He even does some math, and he's like, he the way he ages, I don't think that was him. And Waller's like, stop being weak, basically. Um, a vengeful Ivo
I thought it
attacks
was
Superman.
interesting that he seems to like, if we're there yet. I thought it was interesting that he seems to believe, like, he's already created this mythos for what he is in relation to these Kryptonians,
Hmm.
like that he
Yeah,
was sent here as a weapon and whatnot. I was like, you really made up this whole backstory for yourself here, brother, with nothing to go on.
but it also reminds me of Goku, right? Like the entire
Mm-hmm.
reason why Goku was there was to subjugate humanity. Like they sent him there to
Right.
subjugate humanity. He like hit his head or something,
Hey,
and then it
I
was
was gonna
like
say he bonked his head.
he hit his head, and it was like, oh, wah, wah, wah.
I guess I just
Uh,
live here now.
yeah, that's all it is. I want to have some kids. So, a vengeful Ivo attacks Superman, but inadvertently frees him.
Mm-hmm.
Flip eventually finds and takes him to safety. Clark believes that he was sent to Earth to destroy it, like you were saying, but Lois assures him otherwise, saying that she's seen both Clark and Superman and knows that that's not the person that, he's not capable of that.
Mm-hmm.
Ivo starts to siphon the power grid, and we get a full on kaiju fight with Monster
Yeah.
Ivo. That was very surprising, and he looked like those Godzilla monsters in the first one, the reboot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, he's siphoning power from the power grid, so Lois and Jimmy uh, guilt everybody into turning off all their power. Like, you see, you idiots, you turn on him so quick. Turn off all your Xboxes. This is getting ridiculous. We need his
Ah,
power. And the people of Metropolis do turn off their power. It weakens Ivo, so Superman can use his newly awakened X-ray vision to
I love
locate
his
every.
illusions that like whenever something doesn't work well for him, they cheated him.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you
he's very upset.
narcissistic prick. Everything is someone else's fault.
Right, and this is like one of those like, you took everything from me. I don't even know who you are. Like,
Dude, what?
Superman's like, I don't know, but I do like how he took him out of the suit. How he just flew.
Yeah.
He just had him. I was like, oh, that's pretty badass, Superman. Um, yeah, he removes Ivo from the suit. As Superman and Lois declare their love, Jimmy finds
That is a
File X.
traumatic removal.
Yeah, I thought it was. Um, on Checkmate's behalf, Waller demotes the general and
Hmm.
gives him Ivo's last invention, the Omega Cannon, with orders to kill Superman.
Mm.
Haunted by nightmares of Zero Day, Clark swears to halt any invasion. After Perry officially promotes Clark, Lois, and Jimmy to reporters for their article on Ivo's defeat, they have Thanksgiving dinner with Clark's parents. You never see
Yay.
like a Thanksgiving episode. We got a Thanksgiving episode here.
Not often.
Lois invites her father, dun dun dun, General Sam Lane, who fails to
Hmm.
recognize Clark. When Jimmy tries to talk with Lois and Clark, he drops File X, revealing the Superman recordings to a devastated Clark and exposing him to the kryptonite. Boy, is kryptonite different in this than it is in everywhere else.
Yeah, it is gnarly here.
I kind of dig that. I like the horrifying nature of it. It almost makes him more threatening. Like, he grows like green legions all over his
Hmm.
body and his face, and these
That was
green
so
veins
gross.
come across him. And the littlest piece, like, even when it was away from him, it had extreme effect on him. Uh,
Never expect. Did not have body horror kryptonite on my punch card.
no. Clark's space pod also reacts to the kryptonite, rising and sending a signal that prompts an invasion similar to Zero Day. While Superman and Sam battle the invaders, Jimmy deduces that the crystal also hurts them.
Hmm.
A weakened Superman takes the crystal to destroy the mothership, halting the invasion as a hologram of his father helps return him to Earth. Sam prepares to kill him, but Lois tearfully pleads for his life and reminds her father that Superman had saved them. So Sam calls off the hit.
Mm.
At dinner, Jimmy reveals that he sold Flamebird to Daily Planet, and now he's a millionaire. Meanwhile, uh,
Casually.
me- meanwhile, across the universe, someone informs a Kryptonian warrior of the rebellious Earth as a new planet to conquer. The undeterred warrior vows that just like everyone else, humanity will kneel.
Hmm.
Who are these people, GT?
It's not.
It is Zod, but what's up with the Brainiac symbols?
Yeah, that uh, it, Zod is like homed up with Brainiac, who's probably doing his own tasking.
Are you aware of any of that, of any team up like that in the past?
I'm aware that Brainiac was used as a system by the
Right.
Kryptonians in TAS.
Okay.
Like Brainiac was sort of their central core technology sort of thing.
I was gonna say something, but I was getting confused because I remember at one point Clark uses Brainiac's ship as a headquarters in the New 52. He's just like
Oh
chilling
wow.
out in it. He's just chilling out in it. Um,
No, yeah,
but
yeah. In the animated series, like Brainiac is sort of their central. Brainiac is an invention of the Kryptonians,
but
and
almost like a supreme intelligence for the Kree sort of situation.
yes,
Yeah.
who later
An
betrays them, and it's
archivist.
just like,
Yeah. Archivist, record holder, record keeper,
mhm.
encyclopedia s thing. But yeah, that's the final episode. So even though we leave things better for our heroes, we have a new threat. This thing has been greenlit for a season 2. We don't know what's gonna become of with the writer strike and stuff like that. But would you
Hmm.
like to see a season 2? And what do you think of season 1?
I would. I enjoyed season one. I think the Lois Clark relationship is actually really cute when they aren't being stupid.
Yeah, yeah.
um, they have good the chemistry is played really well together, both with the characters and with the voice actors.
You know what? I will never get tired of. I'll
What?
never get tired of her calling him Smallville.
Ah,
And then, cause it's such like a come on, hurry up, Smallville. Like I
yeah.
just like that works. It works with their nature. It works with her peppiness. I absolutely dig it. This is one. This is gonna go down as one of my favorite interpretations of the character, and definitely one of my favorite interpretations of this couple. As DC goes to great lengths to try to recapture this magic in live action again, I can only hope that this is a sign in a positive direction, that you can
Yes.
make changes, but also kind of keep what makes the character popular and what has made the character popular for years. So I'm very much looking forward to a season 2.
I
Anybody you want to see in season 2?
well, I was gonna say I do appreciate. I still appreciate the ability to sell me a Lois Lane show without actually calling it a Lois Lane show.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, because that guy said, we were all tricked, bamboozled by the title, misleading.
Hornswoggled.
Get the hell, get out of here, man.
Um,
Absolutely ridiculous.
I think I wouldn't mind seeing like it, it's cheesy, but like like oh they're a new couple. Oh hey, Lana Lang showed up. Uh,
That would be cool. That would be cool. I'm down
what are
with some
you
Lana
doing
Lang.
lately, Lana?
I'm
How's
down with some
life?
Lana Lang.
Um.
You want some balls? Give me some Taro.
Oh
You want to show me? You want to show me something? Let me see some Taro up in this.
I think we'll keep that to the one show.
Do you think we'll ever get Taro? You think he might be something that they might keep in their back pocket?
I think so now. Now that the TV show exposed them a little bit.
I say give Zod the nickname the Eradicator. Kind of merge those two. Maybe that suit has Eradicator esque
I can see putting those two together. Yeah, it has
Eradicator esque
Eradicator tech.
tech or something like that.
Hmm.
I could totally see that as well. But yeah, they have an entire cast of characters, man, in Superman, and this is just the tip of the iceberg, the tip of the Fortress of Solitude, if you will. Oh, we ain't got a Fortress of Solitude, so we still got a bunch of stuff to introduce.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff they can do. We don't have, we went through a whole season of Superman and there was no Luthor.
Well, how do you feel about that, and how long are you down to wait?
I can tell you I never asked where he was, so I felt perfectly fine about it.
Awesome. I think that's how he
I
should
think
be,
that's
honestly.
I think there's something nice about saying I can go a whole season of Superman and not go, where's Luthor?
Right. I think once you introduce that character, it puts him on a track that you kind of can't get him off.
Yeah.
So do everything that you want to do prior to that, and then bring that person in. But yeah, they got so much left to do, so many places to go. So I'm super excited to see what the next chapter is in my adventures of Superman. If you want to see what the next chapter is as far as Major Issues podcast is concerned, you got to be tuned in to everything that we do here as far as Comic Book Click. You can do so by going to comicbookclick.com, the one stop for everything Comic Book Click. Merchandise, our articles, and every single episode of the Major Issues podcast. We are creeping on to 300 episodes. That's over 600 hours of content that you can get exclusively at comicbookclick.com. But the Major Issues podcast is available wherever podcasts are found: Podbean, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, the Apple Podcast app, TuneFind, Spotify, YouTube, and more. Just Google Comic Book Click or Google Major Issues Podcast, and we'll be the first ones to pop right up. We do this free of charge each and every week, knock on Vibranium. And if you guys want to help us out in any way, shape, or form, consider buying some merchandise at our TeePublic store, which you can get to by going to comicbookclick.com. Becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/CBC Clubhouse. Our link is also at comicbookclick.com for that. Or you could rate and review us on iTunes. It's the quickest way for us to grow as podcasters and find out what you like and what you don't. Because I've been to the future where we do become the latest and greatest thing to come to comic books and comic book media, but I can't tell you how we do it because then it'll mess up the timeline, and then Rock pins Roman at Mania, and I will jump off a
Oh,
bridge.
jeez.
And no one wants any of that to happen. Follow us wherever we are on social media, facebook.com/comicbookclick, Instagram at comicbookclick, or use that very, very good hashtag comicbookclick to talk about the newest, hottest, latest, and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. We do this every single week. We're also at Major Issue CBC on Twitter and at Major Issue CBC on Twitch. Hoping to get on that Spider-Man soon, because that will be coming out very soon.
Oh boy.
Can't wait for that. But yeah, we are chugging and lugging, getting closer and closer to episode 300. So guys, make sure that you are getting on the bandwagon before the bandwagon gets full, because once we take off, we are going to the moon. But that's all for this week. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don.
I'm Gregory Thomas, aka GT Rebirth.
And this has been My Adventures with Superman Season 1. Our My didn't work. And this has
Our
been
My.
the My Adventures with Superman Season 1 recap and review. And remember, whether you're a reporter, an intern, a mercenary, or an alien, you're always part of the clique, which means you have to remember that you, yes, you, are worthy.